Contracts and knowing how to navigate contract processes are critical to starting a research partnership. Contracts are agreements about what is allowed to happen to the data that projects generate, from data creation to their use, reuse, storage, maintenance, and destruction. Contracts can be the first step in laying out what the data lifecycle will be.
Contracts are important because they give tribal nations who have ownership over the data the power to set the terms for how their data is going to be used.
It's important to agree on these contract decisions up front. The time before parties sign the contract is the best time to ask for changes or to negotiate terms. If agreement isn't possible, then walking away from the project before data are generated can sometimes be the safest option for those involved, particularly for research communities.
When it comes to Indigenous data sovereignty principles, tribes have sovereignty and ownership over the data. And contracts are a way to ensure that they maintain that ownership, and all the research that is done on their data is done in a way that they have agreed to, that benefit their communities, and that doesn't exploit or extract valuable resources from them. So contracts are just a way of giving tribal nations power.
Legal power is important. Fortunately, we now have qualified Indigenous professionals in law, ethics, education, and science. Their training allows them to design contracts that help tribal leadership and benefit their people, both now and in the generations to come. One type is called a DTOUA agreement, or Data Transfer, Ownership, and Use Agreement. It's a specialized contract that applies to data. With a DTOUA, tribes can control who has access to their data, set conditions for its use, safeguard the privacy of the people from whom the data will come, limit how long the data can be used, outline consequences if data is misused, and define ownership of the products or research outcomes that may come about from the data.
But each of those terms is actually giving power and decisional authority to tribal representatives to make sure that the data is being used on their terms. What are the aims of the study? What is the duration of the use of this data? So how long do the researchers get to use this data before you have to come back and renegotiate? Tribal nations can determine whether or not they want to have authority over how things are published and analyzed and reported and communicated to the public, and whether or not certain findings should be communicated to the public. Another way of thinking about it is the terms are there. There's so many terms, but they're really to facilitate the negotiation and to make sure that there's not something that is being left out or sort of missing from the agreement.
Contracts try to anticipate the different kinds of situations, questions, or conflicts that could come up, so they take time to think through.
Contract negotiations may take a long time, and that's okay. So they may take 6 months, they may take a year, and tribal nations, tribal representatives shouldn't feel pressured into signing onto a contract that they don't feel comfortable with. The tribal representatives are the drivers of these contracts. You get to decide what the contracts say, and you get to decide the terms.
When entering into contractual agreements, it's important to respect what can and cannot be shared. Data are connected to all things, and because of this, these are our relatives. Therefore, it is important that the contracts and partnerships in which we participate protect that data with the utmost care.